Well, I'm doing another year haul video, which I did a year ago when I had kind of lesser shoes. I have a lot more shoes now. Actually, how many shoes have I? Have too many. This is gonna be kind of a long video. I'm not gonna go over every single shoe because this video would be forever long. But I'm gonna talk about my shoe rotation. So, what is exactly a shoe rotation? Well, it can be many different things. Most athletes have their own shoe rotation. I have my own shoe rotation. Ben is running. Still shouting again to Ben is running, who's been inspiring me to make a lot of these videos lately. So the shoe rotation that I have set up for myself, I have a recovery run shoe rotation. I have like a daily training, kind of a road workout style shoe, like when I do workouts on the road up near my house. My track workouts, my long run shoes, and my racing shoes, which can vary from track, cross country to the road. So the first section I have about my shoe rotation is going to be my recovery run. So the shoes I use for my recovery run are usually like pretty cushion, like they have the maximum amount of cushion possible. They're not like the fastest shoe, like don't have much like any like special things that push you forward. They're kind of just like very cushiony shoes with like a lot of foam in between them. Just something that's a lot more softer so my legs can recover from if I had a race the day before, a workout, or a long run. It depends, but I mostly use highly cushioned shoes for my recovery runs. So I only mainly use two shoes for my recovery run rotation. And the first shoe I'm going to show you is the Asics Gel Cumulus. This is a good running shoe because if you see it's got a lot of cushioning, got some gel right there. Like a lot of cushion. I use this for a lot of like recovery running and daily training and some other stuff, but this is mostly used for the recovery runs. I like it for recovery because like you can see a lot of cushion and on the outsole doesn't have like anything that can push me forward faster or like anything. The foam is responsive, but it's also really soft, so that's something I really like about this shoe. The second shoe I use in my recovery rotation are the Asics JT 2011s. And yes, every shoe is by Asics, and that's all I really wear. So the Asics JT 2011, I like this shoe a lot for recovery run and daily training and like middle distance running, not like track middle distance. I'll get to that in a second. So what I like about this shoe is that it's got some gel right there since I have overpronation in my ankle, so my ankle rolls a certain way, which can cause shin splints and plantar fasciitis and other injuries. And what I like is that with this gel, it helps like stabilize my ankle. So when I'm trying to run, kind of recovery running, my ankle's not like really going all over the place. It's kind of staying in the kind of staying where like the gel is. It's really good for a lot of things like daily training, middle distance running, not 800 middle distance running, but also it's just a good all around shoe. I really like it a lot because of the stability part. Because like I mentioned, I have overpronation, and another thing I noticed with this shoe is that it's good for plantar fasciitis, which I had for a while. And like when I wore this shoe, it didn't really bother me. So I'd say this is a good like stability recovery day shoe. Now I'm gonna name off three shoes that aren't Asics brand that I've heard are pretty good, like max cushion daily trainers recovery run shoes. The three other shoes that I've heard that are like max cushion shoes are the Brooks Glycerin 21, the On Cloud Stratus 3, and the Saucony Triumphant 21. I don't know really much about those shoes, but what I do know about Brooks is that they do have a lot of cushioning. On Running is a really good brand for like really high cushioning. I've never used On, but I'm considering trying On for 2024. And Saucony, they just make a lot of good shoes. Before I wore Asics, I wore quite a lot of Saucony, and I have to say, Saucony's a pretty good shoe brand. So I have to say, those are my three other recommendations besides Asics. I didn't really find much about other recovery run shoes, but those are just my recommendations. All right. The second category I have is like daily training, like my daily run for my base fitness, just like my daily runs just to like maintain my fitness. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna break this section into two parts. Like I mentioned in the previous section that I have some overpronation, so I use stability shoes. So we'll break into the stability shoes that I use and the non-stability shoes that I use. For the non-stability section, I use the only ones I have are the Asics Gel Cumulus 23, which they are somewhat stability shoes, but they're for underpronation, which I have overpronation, so very different but very similar in a way. So for these ones, I like them because they're kind of like flats. They don't have too much cushion in between, and they do feel pretty fast. When I'm usually doing like a run on the road, I usually mostly use these because they just feel a little bit faster. Now the next two shoes that I use are pretty similar, but also not similar. I did a video about these just like a week ago. Are both the Nova Blast shoes, like the Nova Blast 3 and the Nova Blast 4. I haven't really used these too much. I've only have like 5 miles on these shoes, so like 2 runs, and I use these ones the most. I'd say for these shoes, I like them a lot because well, they're max cushioned, and I do use this one occasionally for recovery runs, but it's just too fast, kind of. But I like them both because they're cushioned and they can allow my feet to kind of just relax a little bit. I mentioned these ones are they're a bit different than Nova Blast 3, but you should go check out the video I made about the 4s. Actually, Nova Blast line has never disappointed. These are good. They're not stability shoes, but I do really like them a lot because of their max cushioning. Also, they just feel and look really nice. Next up is the stability daily trainers, which I have a lot. So the first one I use are the J2 2010s. I know I showed a shoe similar to this in the past, but this is a different shoe. I mean, same colors, the same everything, but just a different shoe. I have another pair right over there sitting on my wall with the rest of my shoes. I get really good daily trainer for stability. Gel's really nice. Like the shoe a lot. Come on. And yet again, the JT 2011 finds its way into this shoe, into the shoe rotation, and gotta say, like I said in the recovery one, good cushioning, good for middle distance running, not on track, but just like a good like long run, middle distance run, daily trainer kind of shoe. Now, next up for my other stability daily trainers are both the Asics Gel Kayano 28 and 29s. I don't have the 30s right now, but my dad has the 30s. What I have to say about these ones is that I actually haven't worn these shoes yet because I just got them for Christmas, so not too long ago. But these ones, actually, I'm gonna put these ones back on my table real quick. What I have to say about the Gel Kayano 28s is since they were made 2 years ago, and I say they're really good for a shoe made 2 years ago. And they have like a little gel plate right there. They're overpronation stability shoes. They have like max cushioning. They use Flight Foam Blast. I hope I pronounced that correctly on them, and they have gel and they have IGS support system. So overall, this is probably the best overpronation shoe for me personally. I like this shoe. I also occasionally use it for recovery runs, but not often, only like once. I used this shoe in my first half marathon race I ever did, and I'd say it performed pretty well. I use this shoe for my long runs. Occasionally, I'll do it for a workout, which I don't do that much since they're a little bit on the heavier side of things, but they're a really good shoe for just like when overpronation or if my shin or ankle like really bugging me. Oh yeah, and I will be making a video comparing the 29 to the no, this is the 29, this is the 28. I'll be making a video comparing the two, and when I get to 30s, I'll be making that video. So other shoes I recommend for daily training are I don't have any recommendations. There's just so many shoes you can use for daily training that I'm not gonna list them all off, or else this part would be an hour long. Now, what are the other shoes I recommend for stability running? What I recommend are the Brooks Glycerin GTS. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The Adidas Ultra Boost and the Nike Infinity Run. Those are what I've read and heard that are like good for like overpronation shoes. For underpronation, you'll have to look more since I don't have underpronation. But for underpronation, if you want a separate video on stability running shoes, I'll think about it. But those are my recommendations: are the Brooks Glycerin. I hope I say that correctly. The Adidas Ultra Boost and the Nike Infinity Run. Into what I call like the middle distance running shoes I use, which isn't like the 800 to 1500. Those shoes where I run like between 6 miles up to 8 miles. Kind of like that's like middle distance running for me. Not for like track, but just like kind of like running on roads or trails. So like I mentioned, I'm using middle distance shoes for when I'm running like not like track middle distance. I keep having to specify this, but for running like 6 miles up to 8 miles. between a daily and almost long running distance. So the shoes that I tend to use the most for the longest time were these three: the A6 2011, Gel Crunch 28, and the Nova Blast 3s. All pretty much work the same, just the cushioning and the stability, and these two worked really well with me. And I think that's something that I liked.
So what I started using recently for like my middle distance running, like 6 to 8 miles, I'm gonna keep specifying that. I recently started using the JT 2010. I used it yesterday for a 6 mile trail run, but for the trails I was on, it didn't work very well because, well, it was really, really muddy, so I was kind of like slipping and sliding all over the place. But when I've done used these on like roads and like kind of gravelly, they work pretty well. I really like this for like road and gravel, but not for trail running. For shoes I recommend for like the middle distance category, I don't really have any because I'm not sure if that's a category anyone else uses, but I would kind of just recommend like a daily trainer kind of shoe really for it. One that's a bit more tough and versatile. I don't really know of any since I think I mostly use the 6 to 9, 8-ish miles kind of range of shoes. Now this section of the video is gonna be my workout shoes, like shoes I use for when I'm running on the track, running on the road. That's really where I do my workouts. Something I do for like my track workouts is that, and like my road workouts, that I don't really use carbon plated shoes that much, just so I can like keep my mechanics like work on them myself, not having something else do them for me. So but when I do use carbon plated shoes is when I'm like on the road if I'm doing like a long workout. So for a carbon plated shoe, I only have one right now. I use the A6 Magic Speed 3. This is a shoe I use for track and road, which I don't really use that much, but when I do, it's only when I'm doing like faster things and if I'm doing like a longer workout, like longer reps and longer like distance. This is good because I like it because it's used for racing. It's just like fast running in general. So when I'm doing like a threshold workout or like a mile interval workout on the road or track, that's when I use these the most probably because the carbon plate also it can grip onto like the track and the road very well. I like them a lot. I don't have anything else to say since they're the only carbon plated shoe I really use. Now, the second shoe I use is actually a stability like racing shoe, which is a little interesting, and that's the Asics Gel DS 26. I've had these for a while now. I talked about them in my last video. I mean, they're really good because I like them because of like the traction, like it's really good on both the road and the track and even trails. So it's like sinks into them, like grips on, and I can just push off. Like they're really, really light. I used them in a 10K race. I used them in an 8K race. I used them in a half marathon. They're a really good shoe for a lot of things. But I mostly use them for racing. Well, not anymore that much, but like road workouts, track workouts, and occasionally like a daily run or two if I'm like running on the road. I haven't used this for tempo. It's a really good like workout shoe. I really like it a lot. Now for the shoes I recommend for road racing and track, I'll be doing 2 sections flats and carbon plated shoes. For the carbon plated shoes, I have to say the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 3, the Adidas Adizero Pro Evo 3, and the Saucony Endorphin Elite. Those are, from what I've heard, are really good shoes with the carbon plate, their foam, and just all around good shoes for racing and track workouts and road workouts. The best that I could find, like non-carbon plate shoes that I believe are best for workouts, track workouts, or just fast runs are the Nike Streak Slide, the Brooks Launch 10, the On Cloud Eclipse. None of them don't have anything like that can push you forward. I mean, the On Cloud Eclipse does have things that can like have you go faster. Same with the Streak Fly, but Nike uses some other stuff in the Streak Fly, which you gotta look more into the Streak Fly. The OnCloud Eclipse does have a speed board, but it's not a carbon plate. But that's really all I could find. But since carbon plated shoes are becoming the norm nowadays in racing and in the marathon, so we're in the era of carbon plated shoes, so I couldn't really find much on old kind of racing style flats. Now, The next part and section of this video is my long run shoes. My long run shoes, it's kind of weird since I don't really have like primary running shoes. I mean, I do, but these are probably the three that I use the most. Yeah, but I use these for a lot. Use these for a lot. I think these shoes are the most of what I use the most. But I have to say sure, I probably use the most for my long runs is the Nova Blast 3s. I've used them for a majority of my long runs that go over 9 miles. Longest I've used these for is about 13 miles. When it comes to like the over 13 miles, this is when I use this shoe, the Gel Kayano 28. I think a similarity all these shoes have is that they have lots of like cushioning, so my legs don't get too tired after using them for a long run. And well, my legs are tired, but not as tired as they were as if I were to use like racing flats or like standard daily training shoes. Now, the shoes I recommend for long running are what I read online and what I've heard. You can use whatever shoe you want for long running, but the three that aren't Asics that I saw are the Hoka Mach 5, Mizuno Wave Rider, and the Brooks Hyperion Elite 3. I don't know much about those shoes, but I do know that the Brooks Hyperion Elite 3 was used by Josh Kerr in his first half marathon, so clearly they do pretty well if they work for Josh Kerr. Now, the final section of this video. I know this is a really long video. I'm going to break it down into three different racing categories: cross country, track, and road racing. So I'm going to start off with road racing shoes, which can vary from if you're running just a mile on the road all the way up to a marathon. The shoe I use for my road racing, which I use for the 5K and a 10K and half marathon, are the Asics Magic Speed 3. I mostly got these because, well, they were cheaper than the normal Asics racing shoes, and also they're a lot more durable. I can use for like tempo running, threshold running, all that stuff that I said that these can be used for. But yeah, I used them for a 5K not too long ago. Well, feels like forever ago. And I'd say they did pretty well in like the uphill portion I was on. And like on the road, they felt good since the carbon plate just pushing me forward. And I really like that part of it. I just love the carbon plate and the in between. I'm gonna use it for a 10K I have coming up in January. And I'm pretty sure these are gonna help me hit my new PR in the 10K. So the shoes I recommend that are not Asics shoes are the both Nike Vaporfly and Alphafly, the On Cloud Boom Echo, and the Hoka Rocket X2. All of those are carbon plated shoes, although the Alphaflies have some other stuff going on with them. On Cloud Boom Echo has a lot of things going on with it. And the Mach 5 also has a lot of things going on with it. Each one is super different, their own way, super unique, and that's what makes those shoes incredible. Next up for the category of racing is cross country. And I use the A6 Resgurance XE. I mean, they're not like the typical cross country spike because, well, all of them have like carbon plates or something going on with them. But I like these shoes a lot. They're really comfortable. My only complaint I ever have with these shoes, the fact that, nothing. But these are really good. The foam in between is good for cushioning right there, like myself. Foam's pretty durable. This heel pad right here is like helps me when I like my heel's kind of slipping. I can kind of just stay on traction, so it's good for holding on the traction. And actually, this is like a kind of like a pretty good overall cross country spike. I used it throughout almost every cross country race, except for ones that were mostly road or if I was thresholding. But these are really good, in my opinion, cross country spikes. I just like the way they feel. They're a little heavy, but that's okay with me because I got used to them pretty fast. And also, I have to say probably on this that I used another pair of these I had for track, which I don't think these are pretty good for track. I'd say they're only meant for cross country, considering kind of how they're kind of work, not like the Dragonflies. And the other shoes I recommend for cross country are, of course, the Dragonfly, the cross country variant, or the track variant. It's your choice. Saucony, Havoc, Havok, I don't know what they're called. They're good. I see people use them cross country and track, and the Brooks Draft spikes. I don't really know much about the Brooks draft because I don't wear Brooks at all. But I've seen some of my teammates wear Brooks bikes and they performed really good. So I say Brooks drafts are up there with some good spikes. There are definitely other spikes you can use for cross country. I see a lot of people using their track spikes, which I have no opinion on. I considered doing it, but I decided maybe not because I have yet to break into track spikes. And the last section of racing is track. And for track, I actually haven't broken in these spikes yet, are the A6 Gunlap 2 spikes. Like I said, I used cross country spikes for track. They were a bit on the heavier side. Well, they were just weren't like meant for track, I could tell. But these are definitely armament since they're really light. They have a really breathable upper mesh. You can see kind of like I don't know if you can see like kind of have like a nylon plate, not like a carbon plate, but something that when I've used these for a couple workouts and strides, I feel they kind of pushing me forward. I say these are good spikes, like for racing. I have yet to use them, but I've heard really good things. I've heard that they're good for mostly longer distance. Like I read that from 800 to like mile. That's where they're not the strongest at, but for like 3K all the way up to 10K, that's where their strongest suit is. And since I mostly run the 3K, aka the 2 mile mostly, and I do occasionally run a 5K on the track, these are definitely going to be my track shoes of choice. And the track bikes I recommend for long distance 3K up to 10K are definitely the Dragonflies. I have to go with the Adidas Avanti spikes and the Brooks Wire spike. An honorable mention is the Hoka Stilo LD. Those are the spikes that I've chosen. All of them have like some have the designated super spike on them. My spikes don't really have that designation, but they kind of do with their nylon plate. But I have to say overall, the best spike would probably have to be the Dragonfly because of how responsive the foam is. This was the longest video I think I've ever filmed. It was really hard to film because, well, there's a lot of bloopers and edits and whatnot, but overall, that was my shoe rotation and other shoes I recommend. I know this is a long video. I'm tired from filming this, but I have to say this is a video I worked pretty hard on. So like and subscribe, turn notifications, since for 2024 I'm gonna be uploading a lot more videos. That is my hope at least. I hope to upload like more videos than I uploaded in the past years with my channel. So once again, like and subscribe to Marcus Running and
I don't know. I don't have an outro. This is just it.